On this episode of Rock Down South, we chat with Archie from the rock band Santa Cruz. We talk about his brand new single titled Under the Gun and his exciting return to music after a 2-year hiatus. We hope y'all enjoy. Let's go.
What's up, guys? It's Archie from Santa Cruz, and you're listening to Rock Down South.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Rock Down South, a show where my friends and I chat with musical artists and ask them the questions we want to know about. Today, we sit down and talk with Archie Cruz from the rock band Santa Cruz. If you haven't listened to Santa Cruz, you are truly missing out. If I were to describe their music, it would be 80s inspired hard rock that sounds like it was made today. This music has super catchy choruses and guitar solos, but with a modern sounding production and incredible guitar riffs. Archie has recently restarted Santa Cruz after a 2-year hiatus and has some fantastic new music to share. We talk about his newly released single titled Under the Gun, as well as his new album coming out later this year. Plus, Archie tells us what it's like having one of his songs featured on the new hit HBO show Peacemaker. This is a super fun interview that I think fans will love and new listeners will enjoy. So without further ado, here's the interview. Archie, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. What's up, guys?
We're doing good, man. Thank you so much for jumping on today, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Always a pleasure.
Where are you calling in from, Archie?
I'm actually in Helsinki, Finland right now. Headed back to LA in actually tomorrow, technically, but it's like midnight, so in 2 days.
Okay. Do you share time between LA and Finland?
Yeah, I go back and forth. But the new band's from LA, so I'll be pretty much spending a lot of time in LA, which is the way I like it. I love the city and I love the whole vibe. I love the scene, you know. It's always sunny, always rocking, and my spiritual home, so to speak. So good to get some time there more, you know, especially after COVID, you know, after not being able to travel for like 2 years. It's amazing to actually see the world open and get to do gigs, especially putting out new music actually, and tour with it, and not just putting out music and sitting around, you know. I'm sure a lot of musicians can relate to this. You know, it's been crazy for 2 years, so it's super sick to see everything going back to normal again. You know, I'm super stoked about that.
Yeah, we try to go to a lot of shows. The calendar's getting pretty full this year. A lot of bands are
Yeah.
back out touring, which is great. We did actually we got to see you back in April 2016.
Oh, right on.
You opened up for Sebastian Bach.
Yeah, that was a great tour. What city did you guys see us at?
It was a suburb of Atlanta, Alpharetta, Georgia. It was a
Oh, right
club.
on, dude. Black Crows, baby. Atlanta.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think you guys like blew your PA out that night.
Oh, that night, I remember it crystal clear. I think Sebastian had problems with it as well, and you know he's got a temper. I think
Yeah.
everybody knows he's got a little bit of temper. So I remember that night because of, you know, Bass had problem with the PA as well, and was like, "Fuck the PA" or something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that club had a strict curfew of 11 p.m. and Sebastian was going a little long, and he said, "Screw it, I'm not stopping."
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a fun show. I remember seeing you. You came out and watched Sebastian. I think you were drinking like a PBR. I think you're standing pretty close to us. I think I said "What's up" or something.
Dude, that's to this day, like from the first time I had it in New York, like way back. I think it's still my favorite American beer.
The PBR.
Yes. Something about that taste, dude. I don't know what it is, but I've never had a lager quite like as tasty as the Pabst Blue Ribbon.
It's good and cheap too.
It is. It is. It's crazy too, because it's like a kind of a hipster beer now. Like all the cool people in New York drink PBR,
Yeah.
and it's super cheap. It's like It's dope. You know?
That's my go-to beer at concert venues
Oh
these
yeah?
days, if they got
Oh
it,
wow.
because it's the best deal out there.
It is. It's good and it's cheap and it's tasty. It's like, what are you gonna get? PBR, baby.
There you
You know?
go.
And it's straight out of a Kid Rock video too. It's like it's kind of a cool redneck vibe it has, you know? It's like it's just an all American beer. It's like Bud Light, but it's good. You know?
Well, let's jump in and talk about that new single of yours, Under the Gun, man.
Hell yeah.
I like it, man. That's a catchy song.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. I wrote it all by myself. Like I actually worked in the studio. Like I did the Dave Grohl thing, you know. I what he did with the first Foo Fighters record, which is to play or perform every instrument, which I always had that dream to do a record where I would play every instrument myself. And finally, an opportunity presented itself. And I just went, fuck it. And I played drums, bass, guitars, all of it. And it's such a rewarding process to actually see something that was just a riff in your iPhone memo to become, a song of that caliber, which is now like full swing on Spotify, going out to the radio, and people actually dig it a lot, which is amazing, to see that amount of positive feedback and something that I worked on pretty much myself. Plus, the artwork's super dope as well, with the kind of the good, the bad, the ugly vibe going on. The zombie with the sombrero on the cover.
And the roses and such.
Yes. Yes. So I think we nailed that one pretty good. We're actually working on some merch designs on it as we speak. We'll probably be launching it this week. So there's going to be some rad designs based on that artwork. And I'm super stoked about those.
And you have a music video coming out for that one as well, right?
Yes. We're going to shoot the video in like 2 weeks. So it's going to be out by the comeback show at the Whiskey.
Awesome. So that you got the single out now, but you got the full album, Return of the Kings, coming out later this year, right?
Yes, sir. We're dropping that in fall. And I'm looking at the artwork right now in front of me on the computer. And the whole idea with that is because Santa Cruz has kind of been absent for 2 years, for as long as the pandemic has been on. So I was always a huge Lord of the Rings fan. As a kid, I read the books like 3 times, and I love the movies. So to me, the story is kind of what the story of Aragorn in those books and films are. So that kind of narrative is what I see happening with Santa Cruz right now. Not touring, not being active per se, but coming back with the bang, with the banger record, and claiming our spot where we belong, which is on the top ranks of rock and metal artists of today's scene.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
So are you going to have the same vibe as the first single? And did you write and record? Or is that still a work in progress?
No, the record's done. We did that last fall in Helsinki, and it's actually quite a funny record. The vibe's definitely the same as with Under the Gun, but in every song you can hear what artist or band influenced that particular song. It's kind of if you look at Quentin Tarantino as a filmmaker, you always can tell from which old movie he took inspiration from, to each scene. And there's always like homages to old directors in all of his movies. So that's kind of the approach I took musically to this record, that it's kind of an homage to my musical heroes. Like Under the Gun, there's a lot of like Aussie vibes, young Zach Wilde, young Randy Rhoads, guitar influence a lot. And the next single is going to be called Here Comes the Revolution. And that single is going to be very Pantera esque. So each song is kind of a tribute. It's not like, oh, he ripped them off or something. It's kind of a, tribute to my heroes. The whole record is there's a little bit of like Nine Inch Nails here, a little bit of Iron Maiden here, and I think that's a cool thing. You know,
Okay.
I'm looking forward for people to spot those.
So you're going to get a lot of different types of sounds on this record, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
But it's still all the songs are like guitar driven hard rock heavy metal. But they're still different sounds. But it's not like one song is hard rock and one song is techno. It's not like that, but it's you know what I mean? Like it's one song like Megadeth vibe, one song is like Aussie, one might sound like Limp Bizkit, So I'm looking for people to spot those out and hear those influences and to see if they hit the spot.
So it's going to have a little bit of a different sound than what you previously put out with Catharsis, which I like that record a lot. It's got that, kind of Kane Churko hard rock sound to it that
Well, yeah,
I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's that album totally split opinions. And on that one, we totally went for that, active rock, Five Finger Death Punch. We went to Vegas to work with Kane. And what I told him was like, yo, dude, we're hiring you as a producer. So we want you to really make your mark on this record. And that's what happened. It sounds like a Churko record. And we worked on those songs together, and which I liked, but not a lot of people thought it sounded like Santa Cruz. They thought it sounded like active rock record, which it did, but we totally went for that vibe. And this time around, I thought that, active rock, whatever people might expect, or what like rock radio stations would want to hear. I'm just gonna do an album that inspires me personally, musically, and just put a lot of guitar solos in there, stuff that I like, that I love. And that's something I really love about this record. It's the last album was the Kane Churko record in all the best ways. And I really enjoyed the process. I really enjoyed working with Kane. It was a big learning process for me as well to actually work with a producer of that caliber. And the whole living in Vegas for 3 months and working on that was super dope. But this time I really went back to my roots and I was able to really connect to my musicality, what I really wanted to sound like, how I want to play guitar, how I want to sing. And I'm pretty sure that most of the old school Santa Cruz fans are going to dig this record more because of it. Because this one has more of the elements that people initially fell in love with about Santa Cruz.
Awesome. So getting back on the tour, you got the comeback show here at the Whiskey on April 6th, and then you got a lot more shows lined up after that?
I'm currently working on possibly doing like an East Coast show, New York, and maybe Vegas around that same time. But we're looking into doing a bigger tour in fall when we drop the record. That's when we're trying to actually do a full-scale US tour, maybe open up for like a bigger act and play bigger venues. So that's something I'm looking into right now. And I'm hoping we will have something cool going on in fall. And we'll be able to actually play whole North America and the rest of the world next year, probably. This year we'll be focusing on North America for sure.
So speaking of performances, what is the worst show that you've ever played that comes to mind? Maybe it was a bad performance you had, a bad crowd, a small crowd, or maybe just a weird venue. And maybe it was 37 Main in Alpharetta when the speakers were messed up.
That one I actually liked. I remember the PA shutting off. It was there's always weird experiences like that. It's something goes down, but it's up to you if you're gonna make that great or if you're gonna let it, put you down. And to answer your question, probably the one that always comes up to my mind is that when we played the Finnish Grammy Awards with like the first lineup of Santa Cruz, We did We're the Ones to Fall, and it was like a live broadcast on TV. And before the second verse, I like ran all across the stage with like pyro going up and explosions and shit. And I jumped, which was supposed to be like a triumphant jump. I jumped on the monitor, and I was like supposed to do like a David Lee Roth split, and boom, the monitor, it went off under my legs, and I fell on the thing live on TV, like crash landed on it. My back got super hurt, and it was just the weirdest experience. Then I remember how I felt, like I was on air. I remember that thought, oh my God, I'm on live TV. I'm about to look so stupid. Falling over. Eventually, I bounced back up and acted like nothing happened. But it's on YouTube. So if you're listening, go to YouTube, check out Santa Cruz. We're the Ones to Fall live. Emma Gala in 2016. And we had to actually go back on tour after. Like the next day, we had a show in Manchester. And I remember just having these worst back pains like ever. And I probably should have gotten like a doctor to check on my back, but I was young and I was like, I'll just, numb the pain with booze. And we had 2 weeks or 3 weeks of tour after. And I ended up like, hammering 5 bottles of wine before each set to just be able to go up on stage with that back pain. It's
man.
Wow.
It's a crazy memory.
Yeah, when you're young, you remember the first time that you really hurt your back and that you don't bounce back the next day, and you remember it very distinctly.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And to have it done in live TV is something else.
You'll never live that one down, huh?
No. That is like, I think it was Matt Heath from Trivium. He wrote like a post on Instagram, like, what's the most humiliating thing you've done on stage or something like that? And I wrote that and it got like hundreds of likes. The comment, it was like, oh man, I feel that.
So your cover of One Direction's song Dragged Me Down was recently featured on the HBO show Peacemaker.
Yeah.
I liked that whole season. It was awesome. And I think specifically the scene is when Peacemaker and Vigilante are shooting and blowing up a ton of stuff in the woods for fun.
Dude.
How cool was that to have that song on the show?
Bro, so sick. Like a fan texted me about it on Instagram. And he was like, or she was like, dude, check this out. You're in Peacemaker. I was like, Peace what? And I checked it out and I realized what magnitude of a show it was, like the biggest show in the world right now. And I had to get like HBO Max just to see it. And when I saw that scene, I was like, this is insane. Like to have your voice and your guitar playing in something of that magnitude, this is just something else. And especially with a scene like that, as you mentioned, it's a crazy fun scene with them in the woods just shooting and blowing shit up, and just super fun. And the whole show is it's crazy. It's like it's all 80s rock. And I was just in LA like a week after the show launched, and it was everywhere, like all the big billboards, Peacemaker. And that was like the closest to the feeling so far of being like, oh my God, man, I've actually made it, like I know I'm not like a top billed cast on it or whatever, but still to have your name attached to something like that big, seeing all those billboards in LA and just like, wow, it's just mind bending.
So you didn't know until somebody messaged you that it was on there?
No.
Like you didn't get heads up or anything?
No, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're not signed to that label anymore that released that song. The publishing on the deal we had with them allowed them to give them permission to use the song without our approval. But I don't mind,
It turned out pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And I just want to say for everybody who hasn't seen the episode of Peacemaker, what you guys should know, I mean, this is James Gunn. This is the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy. So music is not just something that he throws on the background. You're like, oh, I got 30 seconds of my song and something. If you've watched Guardians of the Galaxy, you know that music is front and center in everything that he does.
It's all
So
about the music. It's funny you should mention Guardians of the Galaxy. Like he had the thing with like 70s soft rock in those movies. And what he did for that kind of music in Guardians of the Galaxy is doing the 80s rock in Peacemaker, which is super dope. And there's actually a lot of Nordic bands on the soundtrack too. So like a lot of bands got a big boost because of it.
that's so cool.
Yeah. And James Gunn, he's great. Like Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy, those are all great movies.
Well, hopefully they'll have another song of yours next season on the show.
Bro, how dope would it be to have like Under the Gun on the next season? That'd be so sick.
So these next questions are what we close with and ask everyone. So, first question. What would you tell your 21-year-old self?
I'd probably tell him to take it easy with the partying and maybe focus on other aspects of life than just, being a rock star. Maybe find a stable relationship. And, there's a lot more to life than just being an artist, which is what I live for. But, do what I'm doing now. Focus more on like actually also living a rewarding life outside of music and keeping yourself healthy and not just focus on one aspect of life.
That's great advice for anybody out there.
Yeah,
Take it easy, man. Keep level-headed. Do what you want to do. Have some fun, but don't go overboard, right?
exactly. Just enjoy life and do what you believe in and take your opportunities and celebrate every small win and don't get too hard on yourself if like something doesn't go exactly the way you imagined it would. But universe is gonna give you, like, if you're praying for a cake, universe is gonna give you butter, eggs, flour. You just gotta bake the cake yourself. You know, I think that's a great advice or a metaphor for life for anyone. Put in the work, put in the hours, stand up for what you believe in, fight for your dreams.
Absolutely. So we know you're a connoisseur of the PBR.
hmm
Do you still drink these days? And if you do, what's your favorite drink?
I do drink occasionally, but definitely not as much as I used to. But it depends on where I'm at. Like in LA, I like to drink tequila a lot. I don't know, it's something about California that makes me want to drink tequila. Or, a Mexican beer like a Corona or something. But if I'm, say, in Ireland, I'll have a Guinness. It all depends on, if I'm in London, I'll have a proper pint of some local IPA.
You try to go with the local drink of choice wherever you're at. Huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If I'm in Hawaii, I'll have a pina colada.
Yeah. What's the local drink in Helsinki?
Well, it's probably some cheap beer that tastes like piss. Or just plain vodka.
I gotcha.
That is probably why I'm not drinking in Finland. The Finnish alcohol culture is not too sophisticated. People out here will drink gasoline or if it gets them drunk. So
I hear you. All right, so you're on the Rock Down South podcast here.
Hell yeah.
What is something you love about the South?
Well, I definitely love the chicks in the South. There's nothing like Texas chicks. And I just love the whole laid back vibe, You guys are super Southern hospitality. I like that, You guys are super welcoming, super warm, and it's always a good time. And you have one of the greatest bands ever, Pantera, from the Lone Star State, baby. And Black Crows. I like Southern food. I like comfort food a lot. I like Jack Daniels.
Yep.
Yeah. We actually went to Lynchburg. We went to their distillery, and We got to taste it, and there's a lot of things I like about the South. I like country music. I love country music. I was actually cranking up Chris Stapleton the other day.
Yeah, we love our country music. Nashville,
Yeah,
Tennessee, all that stuff.
bro. Nashville, like the music scene out there is so crazy. Some of the best players in the world, best songwriters in the world are Nashville based. Oh, and another thing about the South, I love Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. Those two dudes crack me up.
That's awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much, Archie, for being a part of the show today. Where can people find and connect with you guys online?
Check out our Instagram, Santa Cruz Band Official, or Archie Cruz, and SantaCruzBandOfficial.com. You can actually find the links to pretty much every channel of the band on the website. So just click on that, and there's Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. All that is going to be found on the website.
And what do you have going on that people should know about? Obviously, you got the single and whatnot.
Check out the album that's due in fall, and keep an eye out for the tour dates.
Thank you so much for listening to the show today. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I had a really good time chatting with Archie. He's an incredible songwriter and guitar player who makes some killer fun tunes. So make sure to go follow Archie and Santa Cruz on all of their social media pages and give his latest single, Under the Gun, a listen. This song is an absolute banger that I think you guys will love. I'm super excited to hear more music in the future, and I'm looking forward to hearing that full-length album when it comes out later this year. Check out all our content at rockdownsouth.com and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for the latest updates. And as always, the views and opinions expressed by our guests on the show are theirs and don't necessarily reflect our own. I'm Mark, and you've been listening to Rock Down South. See y'all next time.